It was almost midnight when I saw him. I'd been driving along Route 19 for hours, a stretch of road so empty it felt like the world had ended, and no one told me. The gas gauge was low, the radio had gone to static, and my phone had died an hour ago. Then my headlights caught a shape up ahead, a man standing by the roadside, his thumb out, suitcase by his feet. Normally, I never pick up hitchhikers, not after what happened a few years ago, but something about him made me slow down. Maybe it was the rain, maybe it was guilt. I rolled down the window. "You need a ride." He nodded once, no smile, just quiet. "If it's not too much trouble." His voice was calm, too calm. When he climbed in, the smell hit me first. Not body odor, not dirt, something faintly burnt, like smoke clinging to old clothes. He buckled up without a word. "Where you headed?" I asked. He turned to me, eyes reflecting the dim glow of the dashboard. "Same place as you," he said. For a while, we drove in silence. The rain hit the windshield in slow, steady rhythms, and the wipers struggled to keep up. I kept glancing at him. His posture was stiff, his eyes locked on the road ahead like he knew exactly where we were going. "You from around here?" I asked. He shook his head. "Used to be." Something about the way he said it made my stomach twist. I wanted to ask more, but the silence between us felt heavy, like if I spoke again, something bad would happen. After a few miles, he finally spoke. "You've been driving a long time tonight." "Yes, heading home." He smiled faintly. "You always take this route?" "Not really. GPS sent me this way. It's faster." He chuckled softly, dry, almost bitter. "Funny, I used to think that too." Then he reached into his coat pocket, pulled something out, and placed it on the dashboard. It was a silver lighter, old, scratched, engraved with two letters, EH. My breath caught in my throat. That was asterisk my lighter. The same one I lost in the crash 3 years ago. I slammed on the brakes. The car skidded sideways on the wet asphalt, headlights cutting through the rain. The man didn't flinch, he just looked at me calmly as the car came to a stop. "Where did you get that?" I demanded. He looked down at the lighter, turned it over in his palm, and said softly, "You left it behind." "That's impossible." My heart was pounding now. "That lighter was destroyed. I saw it. He leaned forward slightly. "You don't remember, do you?" "Remember what?" "The night on Route 19. His voice dropped to a whisper. "You weren't alone that night. You never were." Before I could respond, a blinding light flashed in the rearview mirror, a pair of headlights speeding toward us. I honked, waved, but the car didn't slow down. It barreled toward us at full speed. And in that split second, the man beside me smiled. "I told you we'd mate again." Then the impact hit. I woke up gasping. My head throbbed, and the world was spinning. The windshield was shattered, rain dripping through the cracks, the engine hissing with steam. The headlights of the other car were gone, just an empty road stretching into darkness. "Hello," I called out, coughing. No answer. The passenger seat beside me was empty. The door was wide open. I stumbled out, my legs trembling, and looked around. No sign of the other vehicle, no skid marks, no debris, just silence and the faint smell of burning rubber. And then I saw it, the silver lighter, sitting neatly on the hood of my car. Still engraved with EH. Still warm to the touch. That's when I noticed something else, a faint set of footprints in the wet gravel leading off the road, disappearing into the woods. I should have driven away right then. But instead, I grabbed my flashlight and followed them. The forest was darker than I expected, the kind of blackness that eats up the beam of a flashlight. The rain had slowed to a mist, and every sound felt amplified. The crunch of my boots, the dripping branches, my own ragged breathing. After maybe 10 minutes of walking, the footprints stopped, dead end. But the ground in front of me looked disturbed, like something had been dragged through the mud. I crouched, brushing my fingers across the soil, still damp, fresh. Then from somewhere ahead, I heard it, faint, rhythmic, almost like humming. Hello, I called again. The humming stopped. My flashlight flickered, then died. Total darkness. My throat went dry. And then, just beside me, that voice, calm and close enough to feel his breath. You shouldn't have come back here. I spun around, waving the dead flashlight like a weapon. Who's there? I shouted, but there was no one, only the sound of the trees creaking in the wind. I turned to run back toward the road, but when I looked up, my car was gone. The road itself was gone. In every direction, nothing but forest. I started walking fast, trying to convince myself I'd just gotten turned around. That's when I noticed the signs, wooden markers nailed to trees, spaced evenly apart, each one carved with the same two letters, EH. By the time I reached the fifth one, something else appeared beneath the initials, faint scratches that looked like dates. The last one read, EH 32219, driver didn't survive. My hands went cold. That was the date of the crash. And then I heard footsteps behind me, slow, steady, getting closer. When I turned, the man from the road was standing there, his coat dripping wet, eyes burning faintly in the dark. You really don't remember, do you? He said quietly. And this time, I realized his voice wasn't coming from in front of me. It was coming from inside my head. I don't know how long I stood there, maybe seconds, maybe minutes, just frozen, heart pounding so hard it drowned out the rain. Get out of my head, I yelled, clutching my temples. But his voice didn't fade, it only got clearer. You've been here before. You never left Route 19. No, I muttered, that's impossible, I survived. The words felt weak, hollow. He stepped closer, the faint light glinting off the lighter still clutched in his hand. Survived what? The fire, the impact, the part where you closed your eyes and wished it was over. I backed away, tripping on roots. I'm alive, I have a job, a life. He cut me off, his expression almost sad. Then tell me my name. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. Because I didn't know it. Because every time I tried to remember the crash, my brain gave me static, white noise, like a TV stuck between channels. He walked closer, slow and deliberate, his boots making no sound on the wet ground. I told you once before, he said softly, you weren't alone that night, you just forgot who you were trying to save. He handed me the lighter. The metal was warm again, like it was pulsing. When I looked closer, I saw something I hadn't before, a reflection on its surface, not mine. The reflection was of him. He was standing exactly as I was, mirroring every movement, but his eyes were red, raw, and full of pain. I'm you, he whispered, the one who didn't make it. The forest started to hum, not with insects or wind, but with a low vibration that made my teeth ache. My flashlight flickered back on by itself, and for a split second, I saw something behind him, a second car, overturned, crushed, flames licking the trees. And in the driver's seat, me. I stumbled backward, gasping, no, that's not real, that's not. He tilted his head, you buried it, you buried me, you walked away and called it healing. The air grew colder. I could see my breath now, fogging the beam of the flashlight. He pointed toward the wreckage. You want proof? Look. I didn't want to, but my legs moved on their own, dragging me forward through the wet grass until I stood before the burnt shell of the car. Inside, half melted and unrecognizable, was the lighter. The same lighter. I turned back, but he was gone. In his place, carved into the trunk of a tree, were words written deep and uneven. Route 19, one survivor. And right beneath it, my name. But scratched out. I stared at the carving until the letters blurred. My name, my own name, crossed out like someone had erased me from the world. The air buzzed with static again, faint but growing stronger, until it became a chorus of whispers, all layered over each other. One survivor. You left him there. You were supposed to switch. I dropped the flashlight, hands shaking. I ran, branches slashing my arms, mud soaking through my jeans, until I burst out of the trees and back onto the asphalt. The road was still slick with rain. My car was there again, headlights dim, engine idling softly as if it had never been hit. I climbed in and slammed the door shut, breathing hard. The passenger seat was empty, but the faint indentation of someone sitting there was still in the cushion. I grabbed the steering wheel and whispered, "Wake up, just wake up." But then the radio came on by itself, a voice whispering through the static. "You were supposed to take my place." The voice on the radio wasn't random static, it was asterisk his. The same calm, too even tone, cutting through the noise like a blade. "Route 19 repeats until you remember," he said, "until you fix what you broke." I twisted the dial, tried to shut it off, but the knob wouldn't budge. The voice kept going, quiet, almost gentle. "Check the glove compartment." Against every instinct screaming at me not to, I reached over and opened it. Inside was a folded piece of paper, soaked through and stained with something dark. I unfolded it with trembling hands. It was a *** police report. Date March 22, 2019. Subject: fatal collision on Route 19, one survivor, male 29. Victim: Ethan Hartman. That was my name. EH, the initials on the lighter. I froze, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. It didn't make sense. I was alive. I was Ethan Hartman. But the report said otherwise. The engine sputtered, then died. Everything went black, the lights, the dashboard, even the sound of the rain. And then the passenger door opened, slowly, quietly. He climbed back in, same soaked coat, same faint smell of smoke. He looked at me, and in the flash of lightning I saw something new in his face. Not anger, not malice, just exhaustion. "You finally remember," he said softly. "Took you long enough." "What the hell are you?" I asked, voice shaking. He smiled faintly. "Not what, who. I'm the one you traded places with, the version of you that stayed." He leaned closer, eyes burning faintly in the dark. "You thought surviving meant escaping, but you left something behind." He reached out, placed the lighter in my palm again. "Now it's your turn." I didn't move, couldn't. His hand lingered over mine, the lighter warm like it had a pulse of its own. The world outside the car was silent, no rain, no wind, not even the hum of distant traffic, just that eerie stillness, the kind that makes your ears ring. "I don't understand," I whispered. "What do you mean, my turn?" He tilted his head slightly. "You borrowed a life that wasn't finished. You've been living in someone else's timeline." I shook my head, gripping the lighter tighter. "You're saying I'm dead." He smiled, a sad, tired smile. "No, you're saying it. I'm just reminding you." He reached toward the dashboard and turned the rearview mirror so it faced me. And in the reflection, the seat beside me was empty. No man, no shadow, just me, and behind me, through the rear window, a wall of fog stretching across the road like a curtain. Then his voice echoed again, but this time it came from the radio and from my own mouth. "One of us has to stay." The fog outside thickened, swallowing everything. I couldn't even see the hood of my car anymore, just the ghostly glow of my headlights diffusing into the mist. I tried to start the engine, but the key jammed. I turned again, harder, nothing. Then I felt it, a faint vibration through the floorboards, like footsteps. Getting closer. I grabbed the door handle, ready to bolt, but it wouldn't open. I yanked, cursed, slammed my shoulder against it. That's when something hit the back of the car. Once, twice, slow, deliberate thuds. The rear window began to fog over from the asterisk outside. A handprint pressed against the glass, then another. I turned toward the back seat, and he was there. Only this time he looked burned. Charred skin, clothes melted into flesh, eyes pale and smoke gray. He leaned forward, voice a rasp. "You left me to die in that fire. You promised asterisk you wouldn't run. I screamed and stumbled out of the car, somehow breaking the lock, hitting the pavement hard. The fog felt alive now, wrapping around my ankles like it wanted to pull me back. I ran, didn't think, didn't breathe, just ran until the road ended. When I stopped, the fog parted just enough to reveal a wooden sign, cracked and overgrown. Welcome to Route 19 Memorial Grounds. I stared at it, shaking my head. No, that's not real, that's not. But there they were, dozens of crosses lining the roadside, small metal plaques attached to each one. Names, dates. And in the middle of them all stood a single black cross. The plaque read, Ethan Hartman, 1992,019. My knees gave out. I dropped to the ground, clutching the lighter so hard it burned my skin. The inscription below the name blurred as tears mixed with rain, but I could still make it out. He always took the long way home. Behind me, his voice again, closer now, almost kind. Now you finally did. I knelt there for what felt like forever, the cold rain soaking through my clothes, my body trembling like it was rejecting the truth. I'm not dead, I whispered. I've been alive all this time. I remember waking up. I remember leaving the hospital. But the fog seemed to breathe with me, in and out, as if mocking the rhythm of my denial. Then I noticed something at the base of the cross. A wallet, old, waterlogged, but familiar. I reached for it and opened it with shaking fingers. Inside was my driver's license, same photo, same name, but the expiration date read **** 2019 ****. And behind it, a hospital wristband. Printed neatly on the white strip, John Doe, critical no ID found. My blood ran cold. That wasn't the name they gave me when I woke up. That was the asterisk placeholder name they give to people who never made it. A low hum began vibrating through the air again, not sound exactly, more like the road itself was remembering. The fog ahead started to twist, taking shape, silhouettes flickering in and out of focus, like ghosts replaying an old film. I saw two cars colliding, spinning out of control, glass, fire, screams. Then silence. Through it all, I saw asterisk him again, dragging someone from the wreckage, choking on smoke. Me. He was pulling me out. I wasn't the survivor, he was. But when the car exploded behind us, I saw his body thrown forward, burning, collapsing beside the guardrail. And then everything inverted. The flames froze. The world rewound. And I watched myself stand up and walk away while his hand reached out, trembling for mine. One of us has to stay. The words weren't just in my head this time. They were carved into the asphalt beneath my feet, glowing faintly through the mist. I dropped the lighter. It hit the road and rolled toward the glowing letters, sparking as it went. In that brief flash of light, I saw him again, not burned, not monstrous this time, just tired human. He crouched beside the cross, eyes reflecting the small flame. You took my place, I don't blame you, but every road has a way of finding balance. I didn't mean to, I said, voice cracking. I didn't even know. He shook his head. You weren't supposed to. That's what mercy looks like sometimes. The lighter's flame flickered, shrinking almost out. He stood and looked down the endless stretch of Route 19, the fog thinning, faint traces of dawn bleeding through. Then he turned back to me. You can go now, the long way home. I blinked and he was gone. The fog lifted completely. And for the first time, I saw the sun rise over Route 19. The dawn light felt unreal, too bright, too pure, like a world trying to convince me it still existed. The road stretched ahead, empty and silent, the mist dissolving into the trees. For the first time, I could see far down Route 19, miles of asphalt leading toward the horizon. I stood, numb, watching the wind ripple through the grass beside the memorial crosses. Something inside me wanted to move, to keep walking, to see where the road ended. So I did. Every step I took, the world grew clearer, the air warmed, the smell of rain faded into something clean, almost sweet. I looked back once, the black cross was still there, but the nameplate was gone, just smooth metal, blank. As if no one had ever been buried there at all. Up ahead, I saw something glinting in the sunlight, a asterisk sign asterisk asterisk. A small green one, bent and rusted, but I could still make out the words. Now leaving Route 19. And beneath it, smaller letters etched into the metal. No survivors beyond this point. When I stepped past the sign, everything changed. The sound of the road vanished. The air grew still, heavy, electric. A car sat by the side of the highway, not wrecked, not burned, just parked, clean and waiting. My car. Keys in the ignition. And on the dashboard, a folded piece of paper and the silver lighter, spotless now, shining in the sun. I opened the note. The handwriting was mine. If you're reading this, it means you made it. Don't look back. There's nothing left to save. I climbed in, started the engine. The road ahead shimmered, heat rising off the asphalt, the world stretching wide and empty. But this time, I didn't feel afraid. In the rearview mirror, for just a second, I saw him standing at the edge of the fog, watching me go. He raised a hand, not to stop me, not to call me back, just a quiet goodbye. Then he turned and walked into the mist. And I drove on, the lighter warm in my palm, the words echoing softly in my head. The long way home.